Hey, it's Dr. Dunaway here at Chiro Strength, and today we're going to go over some tips to hack the office environment to make sitting a little more comfortable. And make no doubt about it, sitting can be just as much of an injury mechanism as picking up something heavy with a rounded back. Both of those are going to delaminate the disc and over time make it much more susceptible to disc injuries or low back injuries that's going to prevent you from exercising the way you want to or even living daily life pain-free. Now the first tip we're going to talk about is just sitting. As we sit, if we sit in a chair with our mid-low back, or that TL junction being the first thing that contacts the chair, even though this is in a terribly slouched position, this is going to put a lot of stress on our low back. To combat that, a lot of times people try to sit to the edge of the chair, but again, this is going to require a lot of muscular contraction and muscular endurance that if you don't train it, you're not going to have. So inevitably, that pelvis is going to tilt back, and now we end up in the same type of position, hanging on tendons and ligaments instead of a postural and a good strong muscular postural tension. So to combat that, don't get a big wide lumbar support. All you need is support about that big just to support the lowest lumbar vertebra or two. So I'm going to sit back as if I'm doing a deadlift, nice good erect tall posture, push this down just above the belt line, and now as I sit back, this support is going to drive the lowest lumbar vertebra forward, and it's going to allow that pelvis to be a little more neutral. I can relax into the chair like this, and this is a much more attainable and sustainable position than trying to sit like this all day. Now, another thing we can talk about doing is getting these hip flexors stretched out. Simply sitting in this position, towards the edge of the chair, still being able to work, still being able to write, but trying to get a posterior pelvic tilt now, drive this hip forward to stretch out that hip for 30 seconds on each side is another great way to reverse this hip flex position that we get so much of. Now, we talked about posture and the hips. Now we can talk about the shoulders and the back, because a lot of times as we're working in front of us like this, all of these muscles right here start to get knots and tenderness in them because they get stretched out, they get trigger points laced throughout the whole muscle. So a good way to combat some of that is getting those muscles retracted, opening up the chest. I like having a band to do this, just to add a little muscular contraction. And now what I'll do, again, for a couple, probably 30 to 45 seconds, a couple times a day, sit towards the edge of the chair. Now we're going to get towards the edge of the chair, nice good upright posture. I'm going to start to point these thumbs back behind me, close the shoulder blades down, think about putting the shoulders down into my back pockets. And I'm going to hold. Take some good slow deep breaths, maybe do some neck circles, maybe look down and up, maybe just get a couple active kind of contractions like this, pointing the thumbs back. Now extend the arms back behind me. Anything to close down the back and open up the chest for a good 30-45 seconds is a good idea. And lastly, just take some good deep breaths. 5 deep breaths on the hour every hour will make you sit upright, because you're not going to be able to take a good breath if you're hunched over like this. So simply thinking about setting a reminder to take some deep breaths throughout the day will be a good postural reset and decrease a lot of tension that you get in the neck and the low back. So keep those in mind, and that should help make the sitting posture less of an uncomfortable position, and it won't set you up for injury in the future. If you have any questions about this, you know where to reach me. Dr. Dunaway at chirostrength.com is my email. You can comment below. If you're around the Nashville-Clarksville area, call the office at 931-321-1414. And again, I'm Dr. Dunaway, and like I always say, don't just mend, transcend. Thanks.